অনেক ধন্যবাদ আমাদের বক্তা শ্রী শুভেন্দু শেখর হাঁসদাকে। আমরা এবার দর্শকদের কাছ থেকে যদি কারোর কোনো প্রশ্ন থাকে জিজ্ঞাসা করার জন্য অনুরোধ করছি।
Hello. Sir, I am Suklal Saran, a PhD research scholar of this institute. I'm very lucky and fortunate to have you in my institute, in our institute. And I'm going to research on your selective works. And I have a question on your book, The Adivasi Will Not Dance. Um, that is, your book was targeted as a pornographic novel and misrepresenting Santali women. What would you say with that?
Thank you for this question and thank you for working on my works. People are entitled to their opinions, so whoever holds whichever opinion, I'm okay with that. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shubhendra, for the talk. I have a couple of questions. First, related to, you mentioned about the time factor. You said that you are a practicing doctor in a government hospital. And I was really thinking about it, that how can you manage the time to do your work at the hospital and at the same time writing, because that's the whole time job in that process. And you have been writing consistently on all these issues. So that's my question one. And number two is, reading your works, it gives the impression, because you mentioned about the elderly woman and the duck following the lady to the shop, which I found really very riveting in terms of the small amount of emotion in the everyday level. So my question is that, I mean, overall, taken together as a writer, do you only focus on these everyday small issues, or do you have a political ideology also to articulate? Because writers on the right, they do look into different complex issues involving the struggles in the field of politics and ideologies. Do you also engage with all these issues unfolding in different levels? And in your writing, when you write, do you write from the position of your own entity as a Santal person, or do you write from the locations of other positions as well, as a doctor, or also in terms of your identity belonging to your community? Because this is something which I find very important, because when I look into the pan-Indian scale, I find very small number of people who are representing the Santali community. Your work has been earmarked as very important because you have captured all these things. Do you think that there is a paucity of people coming out and writing on their communities, the problems, and the issues that they are confronting at the everyday level? Thank you.
The questions in the order that you have asked me. The first one was about the time factor. There is never a time for anything. We have to take time out. That is why I said it's a struggle, but we have to struggle. I cannot complain. Both are important. Livelihood is important, and something that gives you pleasure, that is also important. If you only look at the pleasure, you are not going to earn your livelihood. And if you're only going to slog at earning your livelihood, then perhaps you'll be so depressed because you're not being able to do something that you really want to do. So you have to create a balance somehow, which I'm trying to create. And I'm trying to achieve this by reducing the amount of distractions that I have. I have a lot of distractions. The mobile phone is a huge distraction. But somehow I'm trying to cut down my screen use, although it is not really possible because our office WhatsApp groups, they go on till late into the night. So it is not exactly possible, but I'm trying. Let's see if I'm able to maintain this balance in the future as well. So okay, the second thing was about whether I only write as an observer or with an agenda, right? Okay, I do not write with an agenda, I write as an observer. If there is an agenda which has to come out, then it will come out. Or maybe that agenda will be, it would be recognized by the readers later on. But when I start out something, then it's basically my observations only, because it's the observations only which is going to fill up the pages of your whatever you're working on. Okay. And the third is what was the third one? Like my identity. Yeah. Every person has different identities. Like everyone. Like for example, you just gave me two identities, like a Santhal identity as well as a doctor, which is true. And I write through both POVs. Like the opening of my novel, Rupi Baske, it opens with a childbirth scene in a field while it was raining, and the woman, she belongs to the Santhal community. Okay, so in that particular scene, I put in my identity as a Santhal as well as a doctor, because what I wrote in that scene was what I was seeing in the labor room in the hospital. Right. Apart from the Santhal identity as well as the doctor identity, there are other identities as well. Like I can also be just a common onlooker, standing by the side of a road and seeing a road traffic accident happening. Okay, so I'm just an onlooker there, but I've witnessed something, so I may write about it maybe. So at that point, I'm just an onlooker. So identities change. Yeah, that's how the work varies as well.
My name is Rohan. Wanted to ask you about the use of vocabulary in your work, The Adivasi Will Not Dance. You have used certain words that are not proper English words, and you have used it as it is. No italics, no glossary given. Is it a kind of a strategy that you have employed to use this word verbatim as it is? Like I have noted a few: Diku, Christian, not Christian but Christian, Delhi, not Delhi, not the proper English spelling but the DILLI, Punjab, Alpo Shonkhok. You could have easily used minority, but you have used Alpo Shonkhok. Jishu, not Jesus, but Jishu. Jolha, Mariam. I could list many more. I wanted to ask you about your view on this. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Rohan. You must have noticed that the words which I have used are exactly the words. I mean, where do you come from? Where's your home?
Near Malda.
Malda.
Malda has also been mentioned in your book
Yes,
twice, I
yes,
have
yes.
noticed.
So if you must have noticed, Malda, then this story was written in Pakur, right? And Pakur is very close to Murshidabad and Malda.
From Balurghat actually.
Yeah, but there are populations that, the same populations, like there are Santhals there, aren't there? Okay. You must have noticed that this words which I've used here, Diku, it is not Diku, it's Diku. Okay, and Kiristan. These are the exact pronunciations which are used by the local people. Right. So I believe that using those words verbatim would be more effective in putting across the the theme of the spirit of that story, right? So that is why I've used them verbatim, but I do not think it would it would require too much effort to understand those words, because now it is a famous word that Diku is anyone who is a non-tribal. Kiristan is the colloquial form of the word Christian. Jishu is of course Christ. So
very simple just questions. So my first question is, would you ever want to write, or is there among your plans to write in the Santali language itself, rather than translating I mean, when you're translating, there's a kind of a kind of restraint that you have to put on yourself, right? As in, like, not to be the co-author, you have to be the translator, you have to follow what the author has said. So would you ever want to write in the Santali language in order to convey your own experiences and reach to the section of the people, the target? And my second question is, how do you manage to maintain accuracy and fidelity to the original language while ensuring readability and coherence in the target language when you're translating? And my third question is, how do you manage to translate cultural references and humor? Because humor is something which is very difficult to translate and get the same sense. in another language altogether? So those are my 3 questions. Thank you.
About writing in Santhali, I would love to write in Santhali, but the thing is, I have been conditioned to think in either English or Hindi. English mostly. I think this has happened because of those how much standard 10 years plus 2 years, and LKG UKG 2 years. So basically 14 years of English language education has conditioned me to like think in that particular language. I can so that is why I choose to write in English. When people ask me why do you write in English, because my medium was in English, so that is the the language in which thoughts came in. And the second language I can write in and confidently is Hindi, English and Hindi. This is not the case with Santhali, even though I am a native Santhali speaker, and now I have also learned to read Santhali letters. I'm translating from Santhali, but finding words like my Santhali would be different from say Shripati Tudu's Santhali, right? Okay, I can find flowery words in English and Hindi. I can't find flowery words in Santhali. I will use the same rude language which I use at home. Okay, so perhaps yes, if I read more literary works in Santhali, then maybe my Santhali would improve more. But for now, I do not have the confidence to write in Santhali. I do not. Also, there are some very some technical issues as well. We are this keyboard and computers, they have made us lazy, right? I do not know many people who write with longhand with pen anymore, right? And writing longhand with pen or pencil is also a luxury because you need time. You need time. You need paper. And if you make a mistake, like you have written 500 words and then you think that it's not worth it, you just cross out the entire thing. You crumple that paper up and you throw it away. So where's the paper? Okay, so I'm talking for myself. I'm so dependent on technology that I need those fonts, right? In Santhali there are Unicode fonts, but I'm yet to practice them well. So I'm waiting for a time when my Santhali will improve and my Santhali typing abilities will also improve. Then maybe I'll try to write in Santhali. What was the second question again?
How do you maintain accuracy?
Okay, not maintaining accuracy. Maintaining accuracy can also mean literal translation, right? The point here is this writer has written something in their language. There is a person who does not know their language, they know the reader's language, right? And I am the person who knows the writer's language as well as the reader's language. I do not have to translate it literally as it is from the writer's language to the reader's language. I have to make it accessible to the reader. I have to make the reader understand. And in order to do that, I have to first understand what the writer has written. Okay, so whenever I do translation, I have this goal that I have to explain that thing to the reader. Right. Like for example, there's Rabindranath Tagore's novel Chokher Bali, right, which has been translated into English as grain of sand. But is Chokher Bali really grain of sand, or is it the sand which is there in your choke, which is irritating your choke? Right. So that can also mean eyesore, right? But when you look for a suitable title for that work, then you will find that grain of sand is more poetic and more attractive than eyesore. Okay, so which one will you use? Both are right. So when I translate, I often go through this, what you call it, like conflict in my mind, like what am I supposed to do? And often translation is also based on your instincts. Like what do you think is going to be the best explanation, which is going to click well with the target reader? And once you have translated, like I'm talking for myself, once I've translated, or even when I've written something original, I read it first out to myself. And then I have friends who read that work for me and they tell me that whether it is working or not. So what you call it, a beta reader is very important. Okay. And the third question was?
How do you translate the cultural preferences?
Could you give me an example of something that you have read in my translation?
She was saying about humor.
Oh, acha, yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Okay, this also happens out of instinct. Like there is this comedy novel I have, not exactly comedy, it is a satire novel I've translated from Hindi, Narak Yatra by Dr. Gyan Chaturvedi. So in Hindi it reads very different, and I think in my translation it is reading very different, but there can never be 100% translation actually. So there has to be, something is missing, something will be missing, but I try to put in my best.